Hi y'all, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah if you're new. I had a few requests to do a video on how I dine out, being on Tirzepatide, along with I think just how I approach dining out with my current nutritional goals. So hopefully this video helps. I filmed the last 4 restaurants we went to that I remembered filming, in fairness. It's not an intuitive thought for me to film my food, so I definitely forgot a few times. Anyway, I filmed 4 completely different restaurants, different like levels, that kind of stuff. And then the other thing I thought I would share with you is just like how I approach dining out and like what I tend to order, or like what I look for and that kind of stuff. So let's get to it. The first restaurant we went to was a burger place, and I typically get a cheeseburger, or if it's like smaller, I'll do a double cheeseburger. I always do it on a lettuce wrap. I do not like a bun with my burger. Like for me, my personal palate, I love the combination of a lettuce wrap and a cheeseburger. It is like, oh my God, so good. So that's my kind of go-to order. I don't really order fries. I'll have sometimes if I'm either really hungry or craving carbs, I'll have some, but it's probably, I would venture to say like 10 to 20% of the time. It's not the majority of the time at all. The next place we went to was a steakhouse. This was an 8-ounce. This was the smallest one they had. It was an 8-ounce filet. I got it medium rare with a side of asparagus, and I cannot finish 8 ounces of steak. So 6 ounces is like my max. And that was the smallest steak they had on the menu, which kind of pissed me off. So we're not gonna go back there because I hate wasting food. The third restaurant we went to was an American bistro, and I got I think it was a kale Caesar salad with chicken, and I had no croutons. So I think it comes with like a Parmesan, like shaved Parmesan, along with a Parmesan Caesar dressing, I wanna say, if memory serves. And I also got an Aperol Spritz. The steakhouse, you notice a glass of wine. I had wine there. And then this last one is a movie theater called the Alamo Drafthouse. We went and saw Barbie. I did not film this during the movie. If you can tell, it's the pre-show. They've got like really strict rules. So like, if you know, you know kind of thing. I ordered, this is what I get every time we go there. I get the Cobb salad, no bacon, no blue cheese, and a water. And it is legitimately so good. That is like a legit good like meal choice at a movie theater. I know it's not at every single movie theater, but if you've got one of those places where you can like eat real food, that's where we tend to go because he and I don't eat popcorn. Okay, so then to talk through like how I approach dining out, my current approach to food in general is nutrition and flavor. Like that's what I want. I don't want a boring ass dry salad. I don't want this sad ass dinner, right? There's no point in that. But I really want flavor. Like I don't want a milkshake. You know what I mean? Like that's just not a thing I think about. That doesn't mean I don't get fries sometimes when we get burgers. It doesn't mean I don't get a drink. I have a 2-drink limit right now for myself, just with how much I can handle in terms of alcohol. I think it's 2 drinks. When we do eat something that I would consider a little junkier, like if we went out the other night, there's like this super cool taqueria by us that has like these really good quesadillas, and I can eat maybe 20% of one. Like that combination of like carb, fat, protein is like a lot for me to handle. So I typically try to eat protein and fat and like avoid the carb as much as possible, just so I don't waste food. I find that when I have the carb, I just get that kind of like full really quickly, and I don't enjoy it. That's just me currently though. So I'm trying to think if I've struggled finding anything on a menu lately. I really can't think of any place I've been to that I couldn't modify a little bit. And I'm not like modifying like 40 things. I'm just like, let us wrap the burger or put it in a bowl, or a salad with no croutons, add a protein. I tend to go for fat over sugar. So when it comes to like a dressing or a sauce or anything like that, I want a fatty over a sweet, if that makes sense. So just from the satiation perspective, along with like making sure I'm not spiking my blood sugar, like when you have fat with a carb, it helps blunt the blood sugar spike and the glucose spike. So that's really my goal. I know there's going to be an inevitable amount of sugar. I know that I just know there's factors I can't control, right? That's obvious. But that's why I always try to make sure I pick a fat over a sweet. In regards to dessert, I think I've had maybe one this whole, is that true? Yeah, maybe it is. I think I've had one this whole month, and it was my birthday cake, and it was low carb and low sugar. I've had like a bite, like a literal bite of, like if the kids order dessert or whatever like that, I'll have a literal bite, and it's not big. Just because that I've really trained myself over the months to just not want it. So when I have it, it's like, you know, that really random, spontaneous, like, oh, I could go for that. It's one bite of it, because that hit is, I'm done, right? It's just too much, and it hits me immediately. And if I'm gonna have something sweet, or if I want like a dessert, I'd rather have a glass of wine with some cheese or something like that. You know what I mean? That's just how I'm currently eating though. If you want to see how I cook at home, I'm happy to film, you know, a few days or a week or a day of eating, or all of them. Just let me know what you want to see. I think the thing I would say on Tirzepatide in general, you're gonna notice you can't eat as much. When we first started going out to dinner after I had started the shots, Jeremy is somebody who orders, like, he likes to order for the table, not like in that way where he takes your like whatever you want away from you, but he sort of like gets a pulse for everybody, and there'll be multiple appetizers and that kind of stuff. So when he first started doing it, I literally was like, I have to eat the appetizer because there's no way I can fit more food into me. And that's over time, he's learned to like not do that. You know what I mean? Like we'll have like maybe one, that's it. Or he'll eat it and I'll have a bite of it. That's a thing. So I would just, if you're new to Tirzepatide, I would tell you out the gate, order less than you usually order. You're also gonna really wanna make sure that you're prioritizing your protein for your muscle protection. And then as you lose weight, I think the thing that kind of hit me in the last 8-9 weeks, I'd venture to say the last, like, my second round of Tirzepatide is my 5th round of a GLP-1. That was the one that hit me with drinking. In terms, like, I was reducing drinking in general, and then like with drinking, if you're out with friends or whatever, like you order a third and it would be like, you know what I mean? Like you just, like we have a couple of friends that we go out with all the time, and we're just having one of those weeks and you're just venting to each other, and then you just get another round, and it was like, oh man. So I think that's the thing I would really caution you on, is pay attention to both food and alcohol tolerances as you lose. And then also as you're making healthier choices more frequently, pay attention to it, because it'll hit you differently. It'll hit you harder. You'll be, you know what I mean? Like I can tell you, I'm much more bloated. I would tell you, like I can feel it. I can see it on the scale, and I can actually feel it when I wake up if I had carbs the day before versus alcohol. So for example, the night we had steak, I had the steak and the asparagus. That night we went out with one of my best friends and her boyfriend, and I had wine at dinner, and then we went to a comedy show, and I had espresso martinis there. And oh my God, I should not have done that, right? It was just one of those, like, I should not have done that because I just can't handle it. But the other thing was, the next morning, I lost weight because it was not as carby, because alcohol can go carb or fat, kind of depending on what you're drinking. For me, I just put it into a fat category. But the thing I would say to you is, like, if you're really obsessive with your numbers and your data and your tracking, watch your carbs. Like, seriously. That's been the easiest thing to kick too. It's very rare that I want carbs, and when I do, it's very little that I want. And that's coming from somebody who still makes bread every week. I still bake, I still do all that stuff, but I do it for other people, because I'll have one. I typically will have like a little bite of my fresh bread when I make it. But I mean, seriously, you know, I don't eat bread when it comes to the table. I don't fill up on anything like that, because I'll be full before I even order anything, and that's not fair. Like, I can't tell you the last time I've eaten pasta. I can't, and I like pasta, but it's very rare that I want it. And when I do want it, I want a smaller portion of it. And I want to make sure I've had enough protein. So it's going to be like a bolognese, or it's going to be like a ragu or something like that. It's not going to be a fettuccine alfredo. It's not going to be a butter noodle kind of thing. It's going to be like a beef. Like, it's going to be as proteiny as it can be. trying to think if there's anything else I can give you some advice on. I guess the biggest one is don't overthink it. Don't make it harder than it needs to be. Especially like I live in Texas, so if I can find food literally anywhere I go, so can you, you know? To recap high level, I keep it simple. I make sure there's a protein, a fat, and a veg. I make sure that I don't deprive myself if I want something, but I also am very conscious of the fact that I don't want the whole thing. It's like a bite. I'll have a bite of someone's. And the thing is kind of nice is when you are really truly just having one small bite, people will let you have a small bite of whatever you want because, you know what I mean? Like you're not killing it for them. So it's been kind of nice. Even then I can think of 2 desserts in the last, over the summer. Truly. I don't think I've had, aside from my birthday cake, which was low carb, low sugar ice cream cake. Yeah, so dining out's really easy. It's just, yeah, super straightforward. I will tell you my go-to drinks, if that's helpful. When we go out to dinner, my order is pretty much the same thing. It's either an Aperol Spritz, because it's summer, or I'll do wine. If it's an Aperol Spritz, they shouldn't be made with a simple syrup. It's a really straightforward recipe. It's Aperol, sparkling wine, and club soda. If you're somewhere where they're like putting a sugar syrup or something in there, I just tell them don't. Which I can think of one place that I've had to say that to, and I remember it was like I tried it and I was like, ugh. And then I figured out, oh, that's why. And then if we're out late, like if we go to stand up and that kind of stuff, I'll get an espresso martini because I hit a wall and nobody wants somebody yawning at a stand-up show when you're like, you know, 6 feet away from the stand-up. The other thing I would say that I'm big on is I keep a fasting window. I'm very disciplined and I don't want to eat close to bedtime. And I really don't like eating once the sun goes down. So for me, I'm a Jeopardy dinner enthusiast, if you know what I mean by that. Like I like an early dinner. So if it's after say 6:30, I don't want to eat. Like I'll just skip it, especially 7. I'll just wait, it's fine. I want to be in bed at a certain hour. Nothing is worth having food in my stomach that close to bed because it impacts my sleep, and my sleep is king. Like that's the number one thing I care about in the course of my day. It just impacts too many things, right? So we do eat a little on the earlier side. And then I'm mindful of if I've had carbs, like especially like a French fry. I'm trying to think if there's anything I've had lately that would fit. Oh, like a tortilla. I think I had part of a quesadilla. I know I'm gonna go up on the scale the next day. So I mentally make that deal with myself, and I'm fine with that. Like that's one of those things where like if I'm craving it, I'll have it. But for the most part, it's not like a problem. You know what I mean? It's not something I crave every day. But other than that, that's pretty much it. Just keep it simple. Eat what you like. It's mainly what do I like? What am I in the mood for? What will hit the nutrition or close enough that I'm mentally fine with it? How do I not feel deprived without feeling bloated or gross? And then time is your friend. The longer you're doing this, the more you're like trained, you know? So like Jeremy thinks it's crazy that I don't like buns at all on my burgers. And I'm like, no. Like I think a lettuce wrap on a burger is one of the most perfect combinations. It's so delicious. And it like that texture, I'm a big texture person, so that texture contrast for me is like perfect. And I feel I'm totally happy with that. Like I'm completely happy with that. That's not a hard trade. And I think that's actually, that kind of leads into, that's one of the nice things about being on a GLP-1 is if you have food noise, or if you're in a space like a season of life where like you're having issues with food that you weren't having before, or it's kind of like not normal for you or whatever, right? Like whatever's going on, it shuts off that food noise really nicely. Like it doesn't take as much to fill you up. You're really conscious of like, well, I don't want to eat that because I'll feel gross or whatever. I remember the first time I had hot chocolate, like real hot chocolate on semaglutide, and I was like, I felt full for 18 hours. And the way I make it, it's like real, like shaved chocolate, like, you know, oh my God, it was like too much. And now I'm like, okay, I know I can have like a shot glass of it, and that's about it. But that's kind of nice, you know what I mean? So you actually learn like proper nutrition and portion control with things that your body just really shouldn't have much of. Like that's, I think, ultimately pretty healthy. And I'm not saying no entirely. I'm just saying like no to 16 ounces. So yeah, other than that, I hope that answers some questions. I hope that gives a little bit of insight in what I can do. I think lastly, portion sizes, like how much I can eat, really depends on how hungry I am, how long I've been fasting, that kind of stuff. Portion of the meal. I typically can eat my burger if it's like a half a pound. I can typically do that. I can do a 6-ounce steak, and that's fasted the whole day. Maybe I've had coffee. I can do that chicken salad. That's fine. And then both of the salads I can do. That's fine. But I can definitely tell you, that first burger I only ate half of. I just could not finish it because it was so giant. But if it's a smaller burger, I'm fine. I'm not ever, like anytime I go out to a restaurant, I'm always looking for a smaller version of whatever it is I want. If I see a 16 ounce or something, I don't want that. I want the small one. And that's more because I don't like wasting food, so I feel bad about that. So respect especially now that I eat meat, I'm very aware of like there's a life on that plate. Respect it. The other thing I will say too is it helps when you go out with somebody who will eat the same food as you. So Jeremy will, if I have some bites of steak left, he usually will finish them. He'll have my burger if I've got some left over. Like he'll eat the stuff I don't eat, which is really nice. Unless it's like tomato-y or something. He doesn't like tomatoes and I love them. But for the most part, it's fine. Anyway, I hope this helps. I hope this provides a little bit of insight, maybe gives you some ideas or whatever. Let me know if you want to see a video about like how I cook, what I eat in a day, what do we eat, like how do I feed the kids on this, because I make the same meal for everybody. That way nobody feels like they're being punished, or I don't use the word diet. So, no one in this house is on a diet. That kind of stuff, you know what I mean? So let me know if you want to see more about this. And thanks so much for watching, y'all. Have a great day. I'll see you soon. Bye.